Hey now, how is everybody doing? Welcome to Red Alert Diaries with Tanya E. Hood. I am Tanya E. Hood, a wife, a mother, and an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, it simply means I've worn a lot of different hats in my life that have helped me develop a full range of strategies and actionable steps that I've used to help my clients make a strategic impact, both personally and professionally, to have better than what life has been giving them. Red Alert Diaries is based on the life lessons from my premier book, Red Alert. Is he the one, the pocket guide, the finding the love of your life? And if you read my book, you already know that I got married at 21. And after 11 years of marriage, I found myself going through a divorce, having to raise my two sons alone. To reset my life and survive my divorce, I took the time I needed to get to know me better, which opened me up to new life again. So now I'm in a new marriage with the love of my life and my best friend, which just proves there is life after divorce. On this podcast, we have conversations that's real talk, marriage, divorce, money, and legacy. I want you to join me on the journey. And today, I want to have a conversation that goes back to the basic beliefs of who we are. Having just come off the heels of Thanksgiving, and I'm hoping that each and every one of you had an amazing time with family, friends, and loved ones, because I enjoyed mine as well. But what I also learned about this Thanksgiving, this year, I was triggered. Now, there are times when you go through a healing process that things in your life, you have gone through the healing, you've done the work, you've seen therapists, you've worked with coaches, you've read the books, you did the things you needed to do to get whole. And the level of your life shows the existence of that reality. But there are times, unknown when it shows up, but learn the tools so that when they do occur, you can bounce back. You see, every holiday, I still go through a small moment where there's a hole in my soul that I want my family to do different, be different, function different, only to discover that there's some pieces that are still broken in the foundation that I'm not able to go back to. So I pray, I love on them, and I go back to some basic beliefs to help me through the process. You see, one of the things that I often have done, and I had to do again this weekend, y'all, I had to go back and choose to believe that there was love in the conversation, that there was love that was meant to be given in the discussion points. Because sometimes when we are grown and on our own, our family remembers us at the place of our parting. Now, when you are living life and doing things, you don't always have the family meetups that you used to, as everybody's getting bigger and getting older. And it's when we go back for Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever the holiday event is, that we see someone in our mind that we will remember when they were younger. We remember when we were there to help them comb their hair or do little things with them, but they're not that little person anymore. They are grown, doing life on their own. And for me, especially, when I take a look at my nieces and nephews and see they are grown, they now need to have a new element of how their aunt shows up. So I had to also do the same with my brothers, because there are moments where the big sister in me just wants to show up and do the thing that I typically have done. But they're grown. They're grown with families on their own, and they have been grown for a while. So when I show up in some environments, I go back into a place where there's some people in my family that don't recognize that Tanya's been grown for a while. I've gone through some things in life and done some things that really prove that this life I'm living, I got to make the choices. And here's the other thing I had to do: go back to a basic belief that when they made some statements or made some comments, that it was coming from a place of love. We have to make a decision and some of the beliefs that we're functioning under. So when I make that decision, I also had to go back to some truths and some beliefs about Tanya. Because if you have made some changes from when you were younger that your family aren't aware of, that you know now supports who you are, what you're doing, and how you're functioning, you may need to give yourself a pep talk about who you are now. You see, Tanya had to go back and remember that there's some pieces about who I am that I have to sit in the middle of. At the end of the day, when no one else is there, it is Tanya that will have to sit with every decision that I make. It is Tanya that will have to sit with all the choices when I choose to say yes and when I choose to say no. And there are times when we are in those family dynamics that you may have some discomfort if you have to say no to stuff that is no longer supporting you because you don't want to be perceived like you don't care. You don't want to be perceived like you don't love. I love them with every fiber of my being. I know that they are wonderful people, good hearted people, kind hearted people. If you meet the people in my family, they are loving, kind, and considerate. But there is a dynamic that there's often a shift in how I have decided to live my life now with some of the choices that I have made for me now. And I had to go back to remember why I did that. So you have to, on occasion, do something that I've done. So I want to support you in that now because I had to go back to the core of my being and remember some basic beliefs about myself. I had to believe and remember that at the core of who I am, I'm supportive. At the core of who I am, I'm giving. At the core of who I am, I'm caring. And if I choose not to display those things at certain times, it does not negate who I am. Because there are times you can't give to everybody that is asking. And when we reach the holidays, we find ourselves being pulled in so many different directions because not just our family is asking of us. There are friends that are often asking of us. If you find that you're in a position with so many things in life that are asking stuff of you that you feel like you may not be able to give, because if you structured your life the way I've structured mine, you're giving all year round. You're giving all the time. And when you are constantly pouring out, there comes a time when you need to be poured back into. The holidays, spending time with family, friends, and loved ones are often the moments where you get the chance to have somebody pour back into you. But if you are in a position where you're not able to receive as much as you give, then you need to make some decisions. So I had to go back to a belief of understanding who I am at the core of my being as a giver. And if I have to just tell it to me, it's enough. Because sometimes you've got to be the only pep talk that you give yourself. You need to know without validation who you are at the core of your being. You need no one else to tell you that you're supportive. You need no one else to tell you that you're giving. You need no one else to tell you that you are kind and considerate. You need no one else in your existence to give you validation to be who you are. Now is the time for you to be. And who you are shows up anyway. It doesn't matter if somebody asks you to or not. If you're a person that gives, you naturally do it. It doesn't matter if someone asks you to do certain things or not. If you normally do it, you will normally do it. But if you find you need to conserve your energy, or you need to have a moment where you start pausing for a second to give back to you the things that you give to others, I need you to know that it's okay, that it is fine, that you are doing good when you give that and you do that. There are times I have to pause. And now I have decided during the month of December that I will take the time to strategize elements of Tanya, like I strategize for everyone else. Because the skills, the gifts, and the talents that you have, you give away. And I firmly believe, because a lot of you already know, that my basic belief is that the only reason we exist on this planet is to be a support system to one another. And you should. But I need you to know that you also have to take those moments to have alone time with you, to pour into you, to support you. Because if you're not in a dynamic, in an environment that gives to you on a regular, you got to refill, you got to refuel. You must find how you can restore, rebuild, and give what you need as well. And if it means it's you doing it for you, find those moments of quiet time. Find those moments where you can pour into you what you pour into others. I want to encourage you today to know that it's okay if you have to say no. And here's something that I'm going to tell y'all right now, that this is a lesson that I'm still walking in the middle of. So don't let my hot mess take you to the hot place, because I have not yet finalized this vision or finalized this thought. But I also have learned that there are some things that we can share when we're in the middle of it, because you may be a few steps ahead of someone else, and especially if it's an important thing to give. I have had to learn that when you are finding yourself in a situation where you can't really give, or you're usually on automatic in giving, you need to pause. You need to pause in the silence and let yourself sit there. You may get some reverberations back when you're the one that usually answers first, but I want to encourage you to still pause, to still simmer, because that will give you the chance to allow what you need to have poured into you and the clarity that you need to know if that is your moment. Because if you are asked to give in one moment when you are needed in another moment, but you gave all you had here, when you should have given it there and you didn't take the time to pause, to reflect, and to consider, it is in the silence that we often find where that needs to take place. So I'm still learning how to listen to the silent moments of my soul. I'm still learning how to listen to the silence that I need to have so that I know how much to pour here and what I'll need to pour there. Because that is the place that you have to give. Because who you are is still who you are at the core of your being. Giving is still what you're going to do. But you got to learn where and when it should be done. And so for today, if you don't remember anything else I've shared, here's the one thing I want you to know. Who you are at the core of your being. Believe it. Receive it for yourself, if for no one else. You need to have the belief at the basic levels of who you are at your core, so that when you have to say no, or if you have to sit in the silent moments, you still have assurance that who you are is still who you are. And that moment where you pause, if someone tries to make you believe otherwise, you will know the truth. And if you want someone to join you on the journey to walk through this and give you some moments to strengthen who you are at the core of your being, feel free to reach out to me. Go to my website, tanyaehood.com. There you can click under the Work With Me tab and find the various ways that we can work with one another. And if you are watching this right now in the month of November, we are in the middle of a 30-day living an authentic life challenge. It is in that challenge that we are getting some of the tools that we need so that we can move into the next level of our lives where we are further strengthened to be amazing like we are supposed to be. In the meantime, this is Tanya E. Hood walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.